and the people who've won these awards in the past have been really outstanding people. We've had university presidents, industry leaders, academic researchers, including the guy who's the most frequently cited industrial organizational psychologist in the country, consultants, lawyers, and even a governor. So our awardees have been tremendously...
Here come the search guys.
Our awardees have been very successful people, and this year is no different, and we want to thank Andrew Bartlow for nominating this year's winners. So the two winners, we have two winners this year that are connected. They've been extremely loyal members of the LER and the ILIR family for many years. And we're going to be hearing from them, father and son, shortly. But first, let me give you a little bit of background about them. Jerry Menzel holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. He was a student at the Institute, as it was called then, beginning in 1959, leaving campus in '61 to begin his career at International Harvester. From '62 to '69, Gerald was the HR director at Consolidated Papers before moving to a director role at Garcia Steel. He moved into executive recruiting in '72, joining Whitmire, is that? And Associates for 2 years before he started his own company in '74. And then for about the next 20 years, he was the president of Menzel, Robinson, Baldwin, Inc., an executive search firm here in Chicago. In 1990, Jerry was a charter member of the Institute's Alumni Board, joining people like George Paulin, Sharon Rosen, and Sandra Sigmund Sargent, who are all very distinguished alums of our program. Jerry's connection has been constant, and he's made important philanthropic contributions, both the scholarship and naming the staircase for the new classroom edition. So we thank you very much for that. So we're excited to celebrate all of your accomplishments and contributions to LER. So, Jerry.
I think I'll use this so you hear me. First of all, I want to thank the Alumni Board for nominating me and my son, Phil. It's deeply appreciated. I've been connected with the Institute, I call it, sorry about that, for a lot of years. And I'm going to give you a little history of how it came about, because it's kind of interesting how you affect different people. I started out it was then called Wisconsin State College, now University of Wisconsin, in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And a professor there by the name of Gordon Hoffebecker, who was the head of the economics department and was very much involved in the labor relation courses which I was taking, knew Dr. Martin Wagner, who was the head of the Institute. And he highly recommended me for the program. And I got a fellowship to go there. So, I mean, my tuition and fees were waived, and they even paid me, which was something, it really helped up a lot. I worked with Dr. Frankie and Dr. Wilcox on a book called Unwanted Worker. Toby Carr, who at one time was a librarian at the Institute, and I went over to Peoria for a summer. Quite an experience. Chasing down, what happened was ABC Company was bought out by Whirlpool. And they transferred most of the employees from Peoria over to Michigan. There are about 100 who didn't go. Rather be unemployed and live in Peoria than to go over to Michigan. I don't know what that says. But what happened was that they wanted to do was to interview these people after a year to find out their experiences. And some of it was, I mean, I was a little boy from central Wisconsin to come down here into Peoria and see some of the poverty and the things that went on there. I mean, there were some nights when Toby and I couldn't go eat until 8 o'clock at night because our stomachs were upset from some of the things that we saw. And we're talking back in the 1960s, not the 1990s or 2000. But we did the job, and I got to tell you a really funny story. I parked my car, and the gentlemen were on the stoop out by the home that they were. And I got out of my car with my little attaché case and my suit, you know, and my cropped hair. And they were gone. And a couple of the boys came and said, "You're a cop, aren't you? You're a cop." I said, "Yeah, wait, I'm no cop." "What do you mean? You're a cop, you're a cop." So I got back talking to Dr. Frankie, and he started laughing. He says, "Don't you know why they think you're a cop?" "No." "Well, in Illinois, they have an M on the license plate. So you're police and everything. At that time, I don't know if they still do now. They had an M. So I was pegged right off the bat, you know, to that. So Dr. Wilcox unfortunately suffered a heart attack and died in Tokyo while we were in the process of doing all this. He was a great man. But they really had an impact on me. And another gentleman, Dr. Gerber, he was the toughest professor I've ever had. I mean, he'd grab a hold of you for an idea, and you had a 3-hour course of time, 4 hours, and there's only 5 or 6 of us would take his class because he was so tough. And he was. He'd grab a hold of you, and I'm telling you what, sometimes you go, I would actually get sweat. Finally, the light bulb would flash. Oh yeah, you know. But it was a marvelous experience. And then I had the impact on this was, you know, for me, I went to work for International Harvester and to other places, and then my son, Philip, he sort of spent some summers working for me as a recruiter. And I asked him, he said, "No, I can't go in there, that's too tough a business, I can't do that." Well, he is now. But he got into the Institute. So he was actually, other than Toby Carr's son, the second generation to go to that school. And then my grandson, Ray, is around here someplace. Back over there.
This way.
He applied on his own a few years ago, and he got his degree. And his graduation, Philip was the commencement speaker. So we really connected here, all this, you know. And further on, my daughter-in-law, Susan here, when she came to Chicago with my son, Jay, I got her first job with a gentleman by the name of Scott Robinson at Ballet, and he's here. He came. So there's work connection. And then I got a nephew sitting over here, Carl Alumni, who ended up, he's now a general manager for a major international search firm. How about that? So we're all connected. And the point of it, I guess, is when you go to the institute, well, I guess you go to the school of you're going to have a great career. And I have, because, you know, part of it, I got a free education. And I feel obligated in many ways to pay that back in many ways I can, and I have. And I think that anyone who's here who's gotten a good education from a school should be obligated to contribute to that school and to pay back to help out other students who are coming along. And if there's anything I'd like to leave here is that I've had a great life. I have a great family. It all started because of this. Really. And I've had an impact on several people as a result of that. And many others that I won't bore you with. But I really, really love it. And when my wife, Patty, died in 2010 from a horrible disease called Alzheimer's, Philip and I did establish a scholarship fund in her name at the Institute. So please give consideration. I know that there are not enough people that pledge to schools, but if you people in here would start thinking about it, if you haven't, it's a good idea. And again, thanks very much for having me as an honor. I really appreciate that.
So handsome. Make a goofy picture.